Interesant și aici în partea asta, tare, tare, frate.
Be careful, it's getting more.
Oh, careful! Careful, careful, careful.
Tu știi, era să spargă fata aia capul atunci. Și după aia alunecai șurul. Dar bine, nu scăpă piciorul. Alunecai de așa, știi?
Trebuie să avem mare grijă, mâncați-și gură apoi. Apropo, dacă vreți să faceți un om fericit, apăsați butonul de subscribe. Este gratis. Fiecare abonat mă face foarte fericit. Mulțumesc mult. Doamne ajută.
Alright guys, look. Now we will enter the lower city. Okay? You see there are two pillars in the front. These two pillars on the other side, there are Hercules carvings. Okay, Hercules, Heracles. Strong guy, semi-god, right? So this is the gate of Hercules, and this is the separation between the lower gate and the lower city and the upper city. Okay. So if you didn't have any business with the government, this would be the last point for you to come. Okay. They wouldn't allow you more from here. And there is this local belief, okay, I will tell you. So while you're passing between them, when you open your both arms, and if your both arms touch the both pillars, then your wish comes true. Okay, this is the local belief in here. Alright, let's do that. Make a wish and go between them, try to touch the both pillars.
Ia să vedem, printre prima oară, intuiția a doua oră, ia. Să vedem, ia.
Yapacak bir şey yok, yesin de layık. Orada da sen denetledin mi? Alright guys, the gate of Hercules, you can look back and see the Hercules. This is one of the 12 labor given to the Hercules by the gods to kill the holy lion called Nemea. Okay, so this lion's skin is unbreachable. His mission is to kill the lion, but he's a strong guy, so he kills the lion by using the bare hands. He chokes the lion to the death, but this lion's skin is unbreachable. Okay, this lion has this ability, so no sword can do damage to his skin. So after killing the lion, he wants to skin the lion off, but no sword can do damage. How he can skin the lion? So he uses the lion's own claws to skin it off. Okay, after skinning it off, he wears the lion's skin to become invincible. So that's what's described over there. And here, this is the main street of the Ephesus, by the way. Starting from here, goes all the way down to the city center. On the both sides, shops going all the way down. And on these pillars, there used to be the statues of the important people. Like this one here without the head, as we know, was a dentist. He was called Alexandros, okay? Dentist, as we know. So we start walking down. Let's go down. But be careful against slippery, okay? Go down slowly.
Doamne, că foarte tare pe aici, frate. Ia. M-am găsit, dar tu vezi că cu voia lui Dumnezeu că te gândești tu că sunt 40 de grade și o să fie foarte rău. N-avem
Suntem
treabă.
protejați, da, da.
Vezi?
Vezi că ăstea, călătoriile ăștia chiar fac treabă. Da, trebuie să fie echipat. La munte trebuie să fie echipat, la mare trebuie să fie echipat.
Here, where we're standing at, this is the fountain of Trajanus. Okay, Trajanus was one of the most successful Roman emperor in the Roman history. Okay, in his time, Rome was its peak time. Okay, they reached the borders to the furthest, economic flourish, things like that. They made many revolutions, and this Trajanus was located right in the center over there, stepping on this ball shape. Okay, statue of this Trajan, stepping on this ball shape like this. This means that, of course, I am the Roman emperor. I conquered the world. The world is under my foot. So the circular thing over there, what we think as world, right? Earth. So did they know Earth was round back then, 2,000 years ago?
Yeah, it has to be round because round is the perfect form of an object.
Object, yes. So they did know actually Earth was round back then, okay? So this 95% of the society back then, let's say more than maybe 95, were consisted of the people who didn't even know how to read or write, right? This flat earth idea was a common idea between the people. So when 95% of one population believes in something, that's the truth of the time, you cannot change it. But the rest, couple percent of the society, philosophers, mathematicians, good educated people, they knew that Earth was round, okay? So we have one example here, even you may know Atlas, the Titan, carrying the globe on his shoulder, that is the globe, right? And one of the first person who discovered about the Earth's roundness was Pythagoras, or Pythagor, okay, Pythagoras. He was living right across Kuşadası, Samos, okay? So he was living in Samos, and he how he figured about the Earth's roundness, he erected a pole in Athens, 20 meters, okay? And on certain day and certain time, he measured the length of this pole when the sun was at one certain direction. So he measured it, and he did the same thing in the next year in Alexandria, okay? 20 meters again, on the same day at the same time. He measured it, but the shadow lengths were not matching, right? So there had to be a curvature on Earth so that the sunshine is coming from the same direction, but the shadow lengths are not matching. So there had to be a curvature. So that's how they figured it actually in the first place, okay? So guys, look, we have a temple here. Is everybody here? Guys, here please. So we have a temple here. This is a temple dedicated to a Roman emperor called Hadrianus. Okay, Hadrianus. So Hadrian is again one of the most successful Roman emperor. He came to rule right after Trajan. Okay, Trajanus and Hadrian. So they used this temple as a temple until one certain time. After one certain time, they started using it as a bank, like a treasure hole. Okay. What do we see here on the first arch? You see there is head of a lady. This first one is called Fortuna. Fortuna, goddess of fortune, goddess of luck, goddess of chance. Okay. The second arch, you see there is another lady opening her arms like this, but she has snake hairs. Who is that? Medusa. Medusa, correct. So Medusa is there. But why the Medusa is over there? You know the story of Medusa, right? When you look at the eye of Medusa, she turns into stone. So in here, let's say 2,000 years ago, you're walking down on the street. This is the bank, right? There's money inside. So you want to take a peek at the money with bad intentions, but Medusa is looking at you. So she will turn you into stone. So you avoid looking at it and you walk like this, right? So Medusa is guarding the place like CCTVs, okay? And this evil eye that we have in Turkey, the blue eye, evil eye, you know it, right? Protects you from anything bad could happen to you. So this blue eye is the Medusa's eye originally, okay? It protects you, it keeps the bad things away from you, okay? That's the root of it. And if you're not that religious, let's say on these pillars, there used to be the statues of Roman emperors ready to attack like this. So if you're not afraid of religion, then you will be afraid of Roman Empire. That's what it is. And on the corner, there are some friezes over there, you see. There are a bunch of warriors chasing an animal on the right corner. That animal looking like an elephant. It's not elephant, it's a wild boar. Okay, a pig, wild pig. So this is the foundation legend of the city carved over there. According to legends, there is this Athenian prince called Andronicus. Okay, he wants to establish a colony for himself. He wants to found a city. So he has to consult the oracles in Temple of Apollo in Greece, Delphi. Okay, Delphi. So he goes over there, asks for prophecy, and they tell him that you will establish your city in the place where the fish jumps and where the boar runs. He doesn't understand anything, of course. He comes here, it's like a riddle. So they get so exhausted searching for this place. And there is the Aegean Sea here, right? They get so hungry too, so they catch fish from the sea. They come here to cook this fish on the pan. But fish is still alive, so fish jumps and fire spreads to the bushes. Inside the bushes there is a boar. So this wild pig starts running, and Andronicus understands that the prophecy is happening, so he chases the boar. And the place where he kills the boar is the Ephesus right now, okay? And they believe that this is the place where he killed the boar, okay? This is the place where Ephesus was founded.
Deci acolo este unde se termină. Bă, deci aici rămâi fără cuvinte, frate. Da.
E bine să te bagi aici.
Mamă, știi ce umbră aici? Ești nebun. Da.
So as you can see, there was no privacy between the people back in the ancient time, right? They were sitting next to each other, and this place was a socializing place for the people. Only men were allowed, okay? So you could come here to socialize. Let's say you could arrange your schedule at 2 p.m. I will go to the latrina with my best buddy. You could come here with your best buddy. You could sit side by side, cheek by cheek. You could talk politics and stuff. And right in the center, there were musicians playing music for you, okay? But this music was not for the fart sounds or bad sounds or something. Since people would come here to socialize, they were talking important matters like politics in here. So they didn't want someone from outside overhearing what's being talked inside. That's why there were either musicians or a fountain here to make noise. And the marble parts are original, stones are not. Okay, and the channel, from this channel the fresh water was coming. This fresh water, they were using it to clean themselves, and they had these sticks with these sponges at the tip. They were using them to clean themselves too. And when it was too cold in the winter times, they didn't want to sit on the cold marble floor, so instead they were sending their slaves in advance to heat their seat up. Human urine and the human poop were not going for waste, they were using them for something. Human poop, what do you think they were using it for other than the fertilizer? Do you have any idea what you can use the poop for? They were collecting the poop in here, not the fertilizer. Any other? They were using it for tanning the ladders, for ladder making they were using it, okay? And there were these people underneath, their job was to collect the poop and run to the tannery. Why they were running? Because they had to use it while it was still fresh, okay? And they were collecting the urine too, and what they were using the urine for, they were using it for washing their clothes. Why? Because it contains ammonia, it disinfects it, and it bleaches it. The library of Celsus we have behind this, okay? This is the symbol of the city, the most important part, and the most original thing, structure in Ephesus is this one, okay? This library. More than 70% of it is original. You can tell the original ones from non-originals from their colors. Pure white ones are original, are not original. Yellowish parts are original, okay? So this library is called Library of Celsus. Okay, who is Celsus? Celsus was the governor of whole Asia Minor province. He lived in the 1st, 2nd century AD. Okay, he was an important man, and he was from Ephesus city. And when he died, he wanted to bury himself in here. When he died, he left so much money to his son, and his will was to build a monumental grave and put his grave underneath it. So he wanted a grave at the first place. So his son, Julius Aquila, he wanted to fulfill his father's wish, and he wanted to get permission from the government to build a monumental grave in the center here. But they refused it. Why? Because that was the brightest time of the city, and no one wanted a grave to be built in the city center. Okay, so somehow he had to fulfill his father's wish, so he changed the plan of this building from a grave to library. And then he built it as a library and put his father's grave underneath it. So both library and the grave at the same time, okay? So, and when you go nearby, I will give you some time right now, you will see at the facade there are columns. You will see the columns from bottom to top, they go from thicker, they start thicker, go thinner to the top, okay? So this gives you a perspective, an illusion. When you go nearby and take a look at the building, it looks way higher than it is, okay? Because it goes like this. And the third biggest library, this one in the ancient world, the biggest one was in Alexandria, okay? The biggest library. Second biggest library, anyone knows? You should know. Pergamon. Library of Pergamon was the second largest. You were gonna say Babylon, I think. But the second biggest library was Pergamon. So third biggest was this one. But between the first and the second, there was a race. They were racing each other to have more books than each other. Okay. So that time they were writing their information on papyrus, right? And papyrus was coming from Egypt. So Egypt didn't want Pergamon to surpass them in terms of amount of books, so they just cut the papyrus export to here. And of course here in Pergamon they couldn't find anything to write onto, so they had to do something. They invented something else instead. They dried the deer skin and wrote the information on the dried skin and rolled it from the both sides, and they called it as parchment. Okay, parchment means paper of Pergamon. All right, it was invented in Pergamon. But of course this competition between them lasted until the time of Cleopatra. When Cleopatra was in charge, and she was a lover of Mark Antony, the Roman emperor, right? She made Mark Antony to transfer all these books from Pergamon to Alexandria, and then the competition between them finished.
Uite ce mamă, duci acolo tunelul la pui. N-ai voie cu drone pe aici.
Sau poate lovești cu drona de
Da.
artefacte de astea.
Nu știu, vede. Nu e peste limită ușor.
Ba, da. Hai să vedem astea mai devreme, statuetele astea că sunt chiar interesante. Mă, uite cum sunt, uite.
Asta zic, vezi.
Făceau la romani și la greci să facă stilul ăsta, că era mai sos, așa era, nu? Vedeai odată de ține minte toată viața.
Da. Băi, nebun, venim cu asta, băi. Da, vă zic eu. Da, uite aici, vezi, uitați aici, fraților. Pești pe limită, frate, nebun, stai vedem, frate.
Pe timpuri făceau chestia asta, se întreceau să aibă cât mai multe cărți, să citească cât mai multe cărți, să se cultive cât mai mult. Se scriau pe pergamente înainte și erau transport din Egipt ca să scrie și aici. Și aia egiptenii, că să nu aibă mai multe cărți decât ei, le-a tăiat din pergamente și ăștia, ca să aibă cât mai multe și să scrie pe ceva, să aibă pe ce să scrie, au scris pe piele de animal și le rulau așa ca pe pergamentul. Văd ce scrie băiatul ăla.
Unde pe aici așa ușor, fac. Apeși pe tot de alba când mergi puiul, că dacă apeși așa pe jumate cazi.
This was an agora again, but this agora is the commercial agora. Okay, we saw one other agora on the top. That was the state agora, used by the officials. Here, this is the commercial agora. Normal people were using this. It's the biggest one, of course. And you see the ground level of the trees in here, line of trees. This is the original ground level before the excavations. Okay, so they excavated this much, they found all these, put them all together, and they started in 1867. Right now it's been almost like 150 years, and they have only completed 20% of it. This is only the 20%, okay? So the 80%, so this, all the things you see, these beautiful structures, the library and everything, it was all looking like that slope of this mountain. You see, it's like only woods and this is nothing over there. It's forest. So it was all looking like this. So in 150 years, they dug them, excavated, put them all together. So it's a hard work. And they say that there's 200 years more to excavate here. All right, guys. Quick information about the theater. So when you look at the theater, it's huge, right? It's the biggest theater in the world right now, actually. The seating capacity is 25,000 people, 25. And that's another hint for you. When you want to find out the ancient city's population, you multiply the theater's capacity by 10. That's how you find it, okay? 250,000. So the theaters were like temples at the first place. This is a temple originally. A temple to worship a god called Dionysus, okay? Or Bacchus. Bacchus or Dionysus. So this is the bringer of wine to the humankind. God of joy, God of fun. My favorite god. And to worship that god, only you had to come here and drink wine. Or be in the parties, be in the orgies. That was the worshipping that god. And when they worshipped too much that god, they had these pits nearby to vomit. They were going there, vomiting, to go back and drink and eat more again, since it was worshipping. This was the worshipping back then. And from these rituals, tragedias and comedias were born. Okay, tragedias were sad mythological stories, comedias were fun mythological stories that they were acting. And also they were using the masks. Actually, they started using the masks to act like gods and goddesses or the mythical creatures. And also they also arranged gladiator games in here, right? Gladiator games were not like in the movies, I must tell you, okay? It was not like that. Consider yourself as a master of a gladiator, okay? This is your business. So you buy a slave as he's a child, 6, 7 years old, whatever. So you buy this slave and you must raise this slave as a gladiator until he becomes 18, 19, whatever. So when he's ready, but until he's ready, you pay for this child to raise him, to buy some gadgets, to train him, all these years, investment, money. So when your gladiator is ready, you put a gladiator into the arena and imagine that some other gladiator comes and stabs your gladiator and he dies over there in an instant. So what happened? 10 years of investment died in a minute. So they were too expensive to spare, actually, in a minute there. So gladiator versus gladiator meant money versus money. They didn't let them kill each other. But this is 80-90% of the time. they were mostly fake. They were throwing the weak slaves or the ones who were already sentenced to death. They were throwing them against the gladiators, and gladiators were professional fighters, so of course they were slaying them. But very rarely a famous gladiator came against another gladiator. Okay, normally they were too expensive.
They also used the highest earning medicine guys.
Highest earning?
Yeah, Galen, for example, was
Galen. Yeah.
was
Doctor,
also curating all the gladiators for a lot of money.
Yeah, true. True. They were making a lot of money, of course, for the masters, and they were making the money for themselves too. And eventually, they could buy their freedom too. Okay, you could buy your freedom as a slave. As a slave, you were getting some amount of money daily from your master. Okay, so when it's enough money, you can buy your own freedom and you can be free. That was the thing. And 2/3 of the population of this city, I'm talking about this city, was slaves. 2/3, more than half. And you should not think of the slaves as the slaves working in the farms and the fields, heavy labor. There were doctor slaves, engineer slaves, these gladiators, right? Dentist slaves, consultant slaves. There were many types of slaves. So yeah. Anyways, let's do this one.